Yo guys, what's up? It's XRAYZ and welcome back to another video. So first of all, before we actually jump into the subject, which is going to be talking about DMZ, I do want to give a huge shout out to Modern Warzone. He actually provided gameplay for anyone that can use it for Warzone 2.0 and also for DMZ. So huge shout out to him. He provided the gameplay and it didn't even have his face cam or his mic. It did have other sounds that they were recording, like other people who were talking in game. But either way, the fact that he was willing to share this gameplay is super helpful and super appreciated. So check him out, link down below to his YouTube and his Twitter account. So give him a follow, link down below. But with that said, let's talk about this. So I wanted to talk about DMZ because they did have an event for the DMZ that did not go so well in terms of community reception and feedback. Now, I was watching a little bit of the live stream and unfortunately I was kind of busy, so I wasn't able to really get a good look at it until pretty much the event was over. And from what I was seeing on my Twitter feed, from people how they were reacting that I was seeing, a lot of people thought that it looked boring and slow paced and that it was definitely not Escape from Tarkov. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be more Battle Royale than what it actually is, which looks like it's going to be something like Spec Ops with other groups of people that might be in there, other players from around the world, other squads. But it looks like the majority of the focus is going to be on AI completing missions. Like if you were playing, for instance, the Spec Ops mode in Modern Warfare 2019, that was kind of like, so I don't know if there's actually like a mode that it's called, but it looks like it's just called co-op mode. And then this one, it was very similar to the idea of what DMZ is, or at least it looks like that is in fact what was kind of used as the groundwork for this, which is you play with your squad and you complete missions around a ginormous Warzone sized map. And then the big difference here is that you actually decide to exfil, and it has a lot of Escape from Tarkov elements to it, but it's definitely not the tactical, crazy, like heart pumping thing that is Escape from Tarkov, where you're constantly playing against other players and, you know, you're gonna lose your loadout and all that stuff, because you can lose your stuff like Escape from Tarkov, but the stakes are not as high because it feels like the focus is mostly on AI missions and the occasional group of other players that you can run into. Now, Infinity Ward did actually post a new blog post today detailing Warzone 2.0 and also DMZ. So let's talk about that. So I'll have the link down below to the article for you guys that want to read it, but this is what it says. We're thrilled to have debuted our very first look at DMZ this week with streamers and creators at the IW studio. Heading into Warzone 2.0 launch week, we wanted to dive a bit deeper into the exciting new experience. Here's what players can expect from DMZ. DMZ is a dangerous, diverse, and deep open world experience where players can choose their level of intensity. Even in its earliest form, the DMZ experience is built from the most hardcore completionists, with faction missions, contracts, world events, stocking up the stash, helping out other squads or causing chaos, breaking open locked areas, and much more. This living world has plenty to conquer on day one. The sandbox mode is where players of all skill levels can choose their own way to play and win. The goal is to loot up and get out alive. It's about exploring an active world of AQ forces and enemy operators, completing missions and objectives, and exfiltrating with loot, cash, valuables, and rewards to build out your inventory for the next infiltration. Set your own stakes and ultimately earn some higher tier items for use across the rest of Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2.0. While players can choose how and where they engage, all operators must exfil from the Al Mazrah exclusion zone to reap the rewards. Players will ultimately fight for mastery of the mode by discovering all the experiences and rewards it has to offer. While DMZ begins in Al Mazrah, no one quite knows where it may lead. So that's kind of the general idea of what this is. Now, as far as the stash and inventory system, it says DMZ involves keeping a stash or inventory of weapons and other valuable items from the exclusion zones. Players will start with a small inventory of free contraband weapons. Contraband guns are only usable in DMZ, and if you lose them on the battlefield, they are gone forever. Weapons acquired from other players or enemies on the field are considered contraband after extracting them. So if you have an M4 and you kitted it out, right, you have attachments on it, you bring it into DMZ, you die, you lose that weapon, it's not going to be in your locker anymore. But if you find another M4, for instance, or if you kill someone and you take their M4 and you extract, then you get that M4. It's not going to be yours that you had with your custom loadout, but it's another one that you can use later on. It's called contraband, and there's actually ways to protect it, and we'll talk about that later on from the blog post. But it says Call of Duty is about customizing weapons, so we still want you to bring other creations, those creations, into DMZ, whether it's personal modification or weapon blueprints. At first, we'll have one insured weapon slot for any personal loadout weapon or weapon blueprint. Additional insured weapon slots can be earned by leveling up with factions. For those looking for an alternate path to unlocking weapons versus traditional weapon XP through matches, should be excited to plan their infills. Acquiring a contraband weapon will unlock the base weapon and gunsmith, usable in multiplayer and battle royale. So basically what this means is, let's go ahead and back up here for a second. You can insure weapons. There's going to be a slot where if you put a weapon in that slot, then you're going to be able to, say if you die, you lose everything else, you're going to be able to keep those insured weapons. Now, from what I saw in the gameplay, I believe there's about 3 slots. There might be more, there might be less. The point is you start with one, like they said there, and as you level up your factions, or factions are going to be these groups that have individual missions that you can choose from, and you can do stuff like extracting intel. You can do missions that require, you know, just specific to that faction. So if you level up that faction far enough, they'll give you another insured slot. And again, you can put whatever you want in there. If you bought a blueprint, you can put the blueprint there, and then you can use it in DMZ. Now, if you lose that blueprint in the DMZ without having it insured, then you lose that version of the blueprint and you're not going to be able to use it in DMZ. So there are some stakes here, but again, adding stuff like the insured slot helps protect you. If there's like a blueprint you really like using and you're scared you'll lose it, use the insured slot, and then you can level up and get more that you can use. Now, aside from that, so they did mention that, they said that you're also able to unlock base weapons here that you can use in Battle Royale and also in regular Modern Warfare. So basically what this means is that if you get a weapon that you don't have, like the MP5 for instance, or you know, the Lockman SMG, say you don't have it unlocked in Modern Warfare, but you go into the DMZ, you find it in the DMZ, or you kill someone who has it. If you extract with that gun and it becomes contraband, then that weapon can then be used in multiplayer. So this is actually going to be interesting. So if there's a specific weapon you wanted to use, but you didn't want to grind out, let's say it's like 2 other weapons you need to level up to get to that base version, you can just go into DMZ, try to find this weapon, keep it as contraband, and then if you never used it, if it's just a weapon that you want to hold on there without having to actually level it up or use it in Modern Warfare, then you can. So that's actually a pretty interesting system. It might make for a new strategy. So if a new weapon comes out, if you find it in the DMZ and you don't want to unlock it via challenges, or if there's just like a sub version of it, the core one that you need to get, like the Lockman 726, and then that turns into an SMG or into a marksman rifle, etc., you can just get that specific one that you want. So I think this adds a new weird strategy to how you unlock weapons, which I think is pretty cool. If you lose an insured weapon, remember insurance takes time. Unless you are willing to pay the right price, extracted cash and valuables speed up the cooldown of these slots. So it looks like it's not unlimited insured slots. Interesting as well. Your stash also contains certain items taken out from exclusion zone, which can be then put in your loadout and backpack for the next infiltration and give you access to special locations. So there's this slot that you can actually get keys and use those keys that are specific to specific locations on the map, and they have limited time uses as well. So you got to really strategize before you drop into the DMZ. If your backpack fills up during a match, operators can visit one of 6 dead drop locations to stash items for extraction in a later match. DMZ is a trio-based mode and the option to play a solo or duo by disabling squad fill. We recommend you start with trios, as the Al Mazrah exclusion zone is a dangerous place. To teach you how to play and give you first rewards of DMZ, you accept faction missions. These are from the world's most powerful PMC groups, the Legion, the White Lotus, and Black Mouse. With the Legion being your first starting faction and the other 2 unlocked by completing other factions missions. By completing a certain number of faction missions, you can advance up a faction mission tier. These missions offer significant challenges coupled with significant unique rewards. Players will infiltrate the exclusion zone with their chosen loadout, insured or contraband, or they can bring nothing at all. Sometimes all it takes is a pair of fists and a dream. The exact point of infiltration is random every time, ensuring that not 2 DMZ matches will be the same. To get more items, players will have to extract them out of the exclusion zone with their backpack. This will provide an experience for players to complete a supply run, as an example, in which players can complete a run just to gear up for a future deployment. In addition to backpacks, players can exfil from the world with on-soldier items, including backpacks, self-revives, armor plate carries, etc. This is critical for players looking to engage with high-tier enemies early in the match, their next infill. So basically, you could do just supply runs where you run into the DMZ by yourself or with a squad, and you go, you know what, we're going to focus on getting medical syringes like revives, getting armor plates, etc., and then immediately exfilling so that you can have those in the very next match, so you have an advantage right off the get-go. Other than completing the objective laid out in faction missions, players are also free to explore the exclusion zone to collect more items for the inventory and take an optional assignment. These can be completing contracts such as rescuing a hostage, taking down a high-value target, or taking part in a world event such as activating a SAM turret or a UAV tower. Like Warzone 2.0, players can expect logical looting. Items exist in Al Mazrah in places they may exist in the real world, such as medical supplies in bathroom cabinets or hospitals. A police station or military outpost may contain more tactical gear. There are a few limits to where you can explore in Al Mazrah. First, lock spaces, which are special areas within the exclusion zone, and strongholds guarded by AQ forces. Players must obtain keys to gain access to these high-value places. Also, Al Mazrah won't have a circle collapse, but players will need to monitor radiation as well as the occasional sandstorm. We don't yet know what is causing these deadly energies, and what operators may get from finding its source. Again, there is no definite objective or path to victory in DMZ. You're responsible for mapping out your own success in this mode, with plenty of rewards for your effort: double XP tokens, calling cards, weapon charms, and other cosmetics. And finally, the ultimate reward, the M13B assault rifle. This functional weapon is part of the Bruin Ops platform along with the new BASP SMG. Can be yours to use across all Modern Warfare or Warzone 2.0. And then the final bit here: winning is determined by the player's choices and the consequences that follow, but ultimately, exfilling from the exclusion zone is your main objective in each match. Part of DMZ's design is to make every match matter. Anything you get in DMZ that is in your loadout or backpack is lost upon death. Players still can be revived by their squad mates even after dying, although it will take longer than a usual downed revive. But if everyone drops, all that precious loot gets dropped too. The only exception are insured weapons, which are part of your stash. And then the final message: this is just the beginning. We've built a massive living world in Al Mazrah with challenging enemies, a deep mission system, side quests, secrets, and more. As we look to the future, we hope to reward players for exfiltration in new ways as we work towards new uses for cash and items. DMZ does not set out to replicate, and we cannot wait to see how it plays in the wild. We hope players will share their adventures with us as well as feedback about their experiences. See you in Al Mazrah beginning November 16th. Now, I did see some people saying that they are, yep, they did. They actually relabeled this now Warzone 2.0 DMZ beta. So it looks like they are now putting the beta label on it. But like I said, it's going to be interesting. A lot of people didn't think it was fast-paced or actiony enough, or maybe they just didn't think what it was going to be. Maybe they thought it was going to be straight up Escape from Tarkov. But it looks like it's still going to be like, it has ideas of Escape from Tarkov, but with that obviously Call of Duty flavor, which is why a lot of people really liked Warzone, because it wasn't like crazy strategic from the get-go, like something like H1Z1 or PUBG, etc. And a lot of people still enjoyed that. It still felt like COD, just like a battle royale version of it. So I think that they were going for something that feels like Escape from Tarkov, but is still very much Call of Duty. So we'll see how it plays out. Let me know what you guys thought of the gameplay you guys saw. Were you excited? Were you not excited? I still think that it offers new ways to unlock weapons, and you know, it's a new mode. Why not? I think that it's going to get better with time, and maybe in the future they'll do like special skins that you can get in the game only by finding certain areas and then like getting out, and then you can use that in your future. You know, we'll see what happens, but it would be very interesting to see how they use the currency in game and the contraband system and the exfil system, where you get to either lose or keep stuff to really make it more engaging. So we'll see. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like. If you're new, make sure to subscribe and notifications on. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can do so by checking out my sponsors, Control Freak and Aim Controller. I use them every single time I play. Code OGXRAYZ gets you a discount. Link in the description below to that, or through my Amazon influencer page if you guys would much rather do it that way. Oh, by the way, follow me on Twitter. I always forget to say that. Follow me on Twitter. You guys have an awesome day. I'm out. Peace.